away? I think it's gone away now. All right. Hi, everybody. John here. It's been a while since I've been on here. I've been busy, really busy, to the point where I couldn't get away for anything. And I finally finished the project that I was working on. I happen to be wearing the shirt from the project, the city of Lake Elsinore, and they are using the Elsinore Honda CR 250M, the Elsinore vehicle, motorcycle that Steve McQueen famously rode around and did a little advertising spot for. So how are you guys doing? So yeah, it's been a crazy busy few a month, basically, just trying to wrap everything up. And it's pretty much done now. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, I need to clean up my office now. I need to clean everything up. But the last few videos I put out during this time period, hey, how you doing, Kobe Jacks? Well, these last few videos I put out there about audio, dealing with audio, and the whole concept of Nyquist frequency, about Fourier transform. I'm going to try to do a video about talking about a little bit, not digging too much mathematically, but has really kind of made me rethink about, or at least put a lot of thoughts into what's going on with our understanding of the world, and just seeing so many things regarding audio. How to say it? I guess I'm going to be as plainly put. We don't know, most people don't have a clue about the world. Literally do not understand, and I'm including myself. We don't understand the world. We don't. We kind of go through our lives with a mental understanding of what we perceive, but it almost has no bearing on reality. Like, you know, and I don't want to turn this into a popular topics or current affairs, current events podcast kind of thing. But it's like what I'm saying, the kind of, and I hate to use charged words, misinformation, fake news, all that stuff that happens in the political world and current affairs, regards to COVID response, all of that I see entirely mirrored in audio. Like entirely mirrored. Like everything gets kind of mirrored in just this false understanding. So and I want to just go over to Teddy here. Teddy made a point here. I don't even understand how sound works. Like, I understand single tone, but like, how is your voice able to sound different from other tones? I have zero clue. I think I will try to get into that in another video that I'm going to do. Kind of explaining the concept of single tone. How do you go from single tones to multiple tones, to like a guitar string plucking? How does it change to go to a voice? And the way waves work. I mean, it's amazing. The piece I think that is missing in so many people's understanding of sound is that leap, that connection between single tones versus multiple tones that you hear. And then there's so many cool things that happen when you have, there's so many audio illusions. But my point is, what I feel like the problem, and I see it related from sound, understanding the science of sound, to understanding the science of disease, infections, COVID, and even politics, news, and all that, is we don't have the ability to grasp as a large. Basically, I've been getting tons and tons of comments, people that are really angry because they don't understand the situation. They're responding. It's like, and what I've kind of in my mind, I've kind of recognized it as aliasing. Like, there's information aliasing. You know how when you have a frequency that's above Nyquist, it reverts itself down to it folds back the frequency, so you create an alias at a lower frequency. Now, the alias, you can't tell if it's a real sound or if it's a fake sound. It's an alias. It's literally the term alias defines what it is. It is fake. It is a fake thing, but it looks real. And I feel like our information age, our understanding of the world is exactly the same. We have a fake understanding of what we think we know. Like I was getting into these guys would write long-winded comments on my video about sound. And I could tell right away that's a fake understanding. There's an alias. Now look, here's the bottom line. To me, this is the hardest truth. I am also 100% capable of those alias understandings, and you are too. All of us are guilty, and that's the one thing that I wish I could. Sometimes I make my videos so I can just reach out and smack people in the face with a topic, with an understanding. And I wish I could reach out and say, look, you don't know what you think you know. You just don't. And, we can try to sit back and take an awe, a wonder, like, oh, that's the story. Anyhow, I'm tired. I've been working for like 4 weeks just straight, like no weekends off, and I'll just keep going. But my sense of getting all these comments. Now, granted, my comments there's a sampling error in my comments. People that are leaving a comment are either people are moved to make a comment, either are moved because they like the video or moved because something I said, blah, blah, makes them angry enough to write. So obviously I'm getting a lot of bias toward people that are angry because those are people that write the comments. But a lot of people are making comments and they have no concept of what I'm trying to say. So they have an alias understanding of what I'm saying in the first place. I've got a lot of people kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of people that just assume that, oh, you're on YouTube, therefore you have no idea what you're talking about. And like I admit, I'm not a sound engineer, so I will parlay some of the more technical things, if that is even the correct word for it. But it's Teddy says, and I thought, let me pull that comment up there. And I thought quantum physics was complex. Okay, well, in fairness, it's still pretty complex. It is. The problem is, and maybe you're helping me try to illustrate my point. I don't think this concept is as complex, but the way people talk about it and the way that basically you all know the game telephone, right? When somebody says something, whispers something to somebody's ear, and then the telephone all the way down the line. The internet, the information age, is a huge telephone box. And so you can have correct information or even truthful or let's say objective information that all observers can agree upon, and then it morphs and 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 it morphs. And it becomes just alias information that's not true. Maybe originally it was true in a long time ago, but no one understands. I mean, and look, I am not innocent of this. I do it myself. I have confirmation bias. I have placebo effect. I am totally aware that I am capable of those kind of mistakes. But it seems like most of the people out there aren't. Like when you have people, okay, so here I'll go. Another thing, the thing with my audio, I know I'm probably being very scatterbrained. That's just the way these are. Sorry about it. These are not scripted. I didn't even think about exactly what I was going to say other than just coming up with this topic. But I have people constantly telling me I can hear the difference between sampling rate easily, but you have to listen to it on my system. Every time I'm always told I have to listen on their system, on their setup, on their You think that might be a bias? I mean, it's clear as day, right? I mean, if I can't hear the difference, it's because I'm not listening to it on their system. Bias? Yeah, but we seem oblivious to that. I don't know, maybe it's the audio files. Well, maybe audio file is defined by person who is biased to their system. I don't know. It just, to me, It's baffling. And well, it's not baffling. I guess it's not baffling. It just, I'm losing hope for this world because there's no hope to get. The information age is so polluted that no truth or nothing can. Well, maybe I'm naive to believe in a truth, you know, but it just seems like nothing can be settled ever again. We can't have, nothing in politics is ever settled. Nothing in, in real life sciences. I don't know. It is a bizarre and totally bizarre world. Yeah. Okay. Stormy Mace's Mess says, understanding sounds under a certain perspective becomes more like opinions rather than science accuracy. Yeah. Well, it's not even understanding sounds. It's also like, it's just we have to realize that our sensory organs are so imperfect, like so imperfect. Now, okay, now I want to make a caveat on the sound thing. There is a purpose for like ABX testing if you're listening very, very carefully and you're trained to listen for certain things, and you're trying to make your system better, and you're saying, and so you're listening to A, B, and then X, and you're trying to match that you can you're helping the engineers design the system better, so it eliminates some of those fine little things that are an issue. That's a different kind of testing that I'm obviously that's useful, but it's this kind of like, oh, I listen to my music. I can't believe you're still using PCM audio instead of DSD, because DSD samples, it doesn't sample, but it uses them 2.5 megahertz range. It's like, and to what? Listen to some music? I recorded a chamber concert. It's one of the things I did in this craziness. I recorded a chamber concert, and I recorded at 48 kilohertz, and it sounds terrific. It sounds terrific, except for that contrabassoon player whose instrument was rattling. It sounded like my speakers were breaking because when he played, he made this like high pitched. It sounds like a rattle. I think his reed was not. Maybe his reed was broken or something, but it sounded like my speakers are going bad. But I recorded 48 kilohertz, and it sounds terrific. And I think if I recorded 96 kilohertz, I've done it in the past, it will sound the same. It doesn't sound any different. But anyhow, I forgot my point. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. But oh yeah, so talking about our sensory understanding. There's a great series of videos called Audio Illusions on YouTube, and it's fantastic. And I'm going to spoil one of the illusions. So he called this illusion something, I forget. Let's call it the Magoo effect. And he played this one. He said, check this out. This is one audio, and it's sampled at a certain rate. And then I want you to listen to this other sample. It's sampled much better microphone, and it's sampled at 4 times the rate. And you can hear the high pitch, the high frequency is way better. And then he said, okay, well, did you hear the difference? They're the same audio. I just told you one was better than the other. And I was skeptical because to my ears, like, yeah, it kind of sounds the same. But I'm like, okay, I can kind of hear a little bit of that guitar string. I can kind of hear that. And then he said, oh yeah, they're the same. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. I guess got placebo effect. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. We are so guilty of the placebo effect. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, it is so prevalent and commonplace everywhere you look, everywhere, and it's just annoying. All right, let's take a look. See here, some of the comments here. Because in different sound systems, i.e. computers compared to Dolby systems, some sounds would pop more in one system than others. Overall, both systems sound very different. And that's also the messiness of this kind of or understanding this stuff is, okay, the systems sound different. Well, it must be the sample rate. Is it? Or is it the 10 other things that are going on here? Like, how do you parse out the difference? Now, I'm gonna go into a little bit of a rant here because no one's addressed this. Everyone's talking about the long-term side effects of say the vaccine. All right, people are saying, well, it hasn't been tested long term, and the reality is nothing is really tested long term. How do you even do a test long term? Like, if you develop cancer in 10 years, can you blame it on that one shot of tequila you took in Mexico City on that one night? Like, how do you determine a long-term study like that? It's so incredibly complicated to figure out. And on top of that, the human body replaces every single cell in your body in 7 years. So you're a completely new human being every 7 years, right? Or so they say. So how do you tell? So how do you tell if it's one thing, over a long time period versus how do you know it's the sampling rate that's the reason why it sounds different? Never mind. I'm going crazy. I'm going off my rocker here. Abu says, to validate information, it must go through rigorous scrutiny. How did you validate reliability, accuracy of the information? Compare the information provided with other reliable sources. I agree with 100% with that. The problem is we don't do anything like that. We don't do anything close to that, at all. The information age, zero information value. We do not do any of that. In fact, instead, we reach for the spiciest, we reach for the funniest, we reach for whatever feels good at the moment. And I am 100% guilty of that. 100% guilty, and so are you, and so is every person watching. We all are biased, and we all reach for what feels good to us. We don't validate information. We don't do any of that. Any of that at all. Facts are the enemy of the truth. I don't even know what's true anymore. I've literally had... on my video, for my audio videos, I've had audio engineers say, I'm an audio engineer, this is a great video. And I've had people say, I'm an audio engineer, this is absolute crap, you should hang it up. Never do this video. It's they can't both be true, right? So maybe one's more, maybe the truth lies in between. I should just shut up about this topic. I don't know. But yeah, Scott Marshall's got a good point here. We tend to hallucinate things that are not at the threshold of perceptibility. So I wanted to talk about this. I forgot to mention because I am scatterbrained. I'm tired, and I'm just doing this because I need to be on YouTube so I can get the algorithm going again. And then we'll be putting together new videos sooner or later. Sooner, hopefully, rather than later. There's this audio illusion called the phantom fundamental, and what that is if you take a low tone and you get rid of the fundamental and you just play the harmonics of this low tone, your brain will hear the low tone. And I actually use this in my example with that contrabassoon that was rattling. What I discovered was I heard this really low rattle, it sounded like a flutter, like a raspberry almost, right? It sounded like a fluttering raspberry, and I kept trying to notch out low frequencies to try to get rid of it, and it wouldn't go. And what I did was I notched out 2,000 kilohertz or 2,000 hertz and above, and that killed the rattle. So I perceived this as a very low rattle, but it was actually a 2,000 plus hertz rattle. Of course, if I kill off 2,000 hertz, everything else sounds like it's muffled and it's just nasty sound. So I'm like, well, you did, guys. I mean, I didn't get paid that much to do this thing, so otherwise, other than the contrabassoon, which only played on one number, it sounds great, except for that one little tiny thing. But it's fascinating. So our brains are telling us stuff. Our brains are fooling ourselves into thinking we're hearing this low note when we're not. We're hearing the fundamental, the harmonic series. So we're not getting anything near the truth. So maybe we need to stop looking for truth in that form. And I touch a bit about when I talk about frame rate. Yes, 60 frames a second looks more, real, but 24 doesn't look real, and that's the point. That's the draw of it. It looks different. So I'm going to do a video about audio capturing audio. Like, okay, you assume that higher sampling rates are more accurate, but they're capturing ultrasonics noise that we can't hear. So why do we want to do it? Why are we doing it? Anyhow, I know I think I'm drawn like a moth to the flame with this audiophile stuff, because it's a new toy for me. It's a new people yelling at me about technical stuff, and I find myself fascinated by that. And I think honestly, I should be putting my time and effort to making some more movies and stuff like that, rather than looking up this stuff, because ultimately I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, if I go out there and I record something, I can't hear. I'm not the audiophile where I'm sitting there like, oh, it's gotta be perfect. It's gotta be perfect. I'm gonna try to make it really good. I get upset when things are not good enough, but good enough is plenty enough for me. You know, I don't need it. I don't need the kind of precision. I don't need the kind of like digital precision that some people claim they can hear. Like, I just need to be good. I mean, my good enough might be higher than your good enough. You know, my good enough is clear picture, clear sound. You know, everything feels good. That's good enough for me. I don't need digital precision. I just need feels good enough for me. And it does. Yes, I do have a pretty high standard. Anyhow. You're comparing something that is highly subjective, and I think that's the problem. It is, subjective, yes, but I would agree and disagree. I mean, it's subjective. I agree with you. That's the problem. I think that's the problem I'm getting at. Everything is so subjective, but we're acting as if it's objective. Everything is so dang subjective. Webnetic says, color white is white if you're not comparing it with another white color. That's a great point. Same with sound systems. You only know the difference if you experience many sound systems. Many people don't care. And I agree. I think you got a good point there too. And it's like if I'm listening to, if I'm listening to my phone on a subway through Bluetooth headset or something like that, am I comparing it to a hi-fi, like a $20,000 setup? No. I'm in the situation right there. Yeah, here's a web. I want to go back to one of your older comments. I've started looking for sources when some of my friends give me their news articles from their news source. 100% of the time it's lies or taken out of context. However, pointing it out won't help. 100% agree. I think we're on the same page here. It feels like, and that's the thing, you can point it out all you want. You can point out all you want. You can say, hey, this is the flaw in your understanding. At least from my perspective. This is the flaw in your understanding, or what you're taking out of context, or this or that. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. We're at a point in history. Maybe it's the natural evolution of the information age. Like, we've kind of gotten to that point where information is no longer a scarcity. It's now just so much overwhelming information that the society just naturally filters out what it doesn't want to hear. And then we just accept the truth that we create. It's a Truman Show. It's a Truman Show quote, right? We accept the reality that we are presented. That's kind of what it is. Sorry, I'm taking a drink of water. I'm trying to be a little bit fitter. I finally got a Fitbit from my insurance company, partially paid for it, and it's off because I forgot to charge it last night. But yeah, so I'm trying to get a little more exercise. Anyhow, yeah, I don't know. That's I feel downright depressed about it, honestly. I mean, I don't know. It's a Pandora's box. It's been opened. I don't think you can't close it. You can't say, well, no more social media. No more comments on videos. No more of that. Because obviously we all crave it and we all want it. Yeah. Scott Marshall says double-blind listening tests can make subjective objective. I mean, it can, but then people will say, I don't believe the double-blind study. Because I've literally had today I was trying to look up something about an ABX test. ABX testing, if you don't know what it is if you listen to sound A, you listen to sound B, and then they play a random sound, either A or B, and it's called X. And your job is to figure out whether X is A or B. And you do that enough times, you can kind of tease out whether people are hearing things. Because if you're like, here's A, here's B, then you can kind of bias yourself to thinking, oh yeah, especially if you know which one's which. If you're not, oh, that's A. I can hear A. That's definitely A, right? But so I was listening to on this one board, and someone was talking about, oh yeah, anybody can hear. I can tell the difference. I don't even need to do a blind test. Well, you don't even do a blind test, and you obviously don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. You're not. You think you know. And I think one person said he did a test where he closed his eyes and switched them. I mean, that's closer, but he said, well, I like the 96 kilohertz sounded more airy, like more air. So, okay. So you found like something that may not be the sample rate. It could be something else. Anyhow. We're in the post-information age. Maybe we should call it the anti-information age. Is that where we're going? Yeah. What's my dilemma? I'm just kind of talking randomly. I'm not really. It's not really a dilemma. I'm just kind of noticing this pattern in society that we've given up this idea of we don't realize how powerful our subjective sense is. We don't realize how powerful our perception of the world colors our perception. That I've got like another point I don't think I'd covered, but like a lot of the comments I got on my video are arguing things that I'm not even arguing, because they perceived my video, because I used a thumbnail that was I used "Is NightQuest wrong?" It's kind of a clickbaity title, so they immediately assume that I'm saying NightQuest is wrong, when I clearly don't ever in the video say that. But the assumptions are all there, and we just react to everything. We react without looking. We react without investigating. We react without looking deeper into the topic. I've gotten a lot of comments from people that get really angry with me about that video where I generated a square wave with Audition. Now, if you go deeper into the arguments, Audition creates a square wave in what they call a naive fashion. And that means it just puts the dots on this thing to make it look like a square wave. But it generates a lot of these alias frequencies, which is great for my video, because it led me to understand what alias frequencies are. I was like, oh, this is great. But a lot of people are saying, well, you didn't create that square wave. This is an invalid experiment because you didn't create that square wave. It became a semantic argument because I didn't properly create the square wave. But I did create, so it became a semantic thing, where it's like they thought, well, it's just like, I don't know, it just seems like it was all anti-science. Like anyhow, I'm mixing a lot of things in my brain here. But like the way I look at it is I created this square wave and it broke, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Well, that's how you learn what all these things do, is by breaking it. Like going down to the basic sense, and then seeing all the different how things work. Oh, this is why you use an anti-aliasing filter, because if you don't get rid of the higher frequencies, and you get all these lower frequencies. So that to me made a lot of sense. But then I get a lot of people saying, yeah, you did it wrong, you did it right. You don't understand how this concept works, how to even explain to people or this topic, anyhow. So that's what my so-called dilemma. It's not really a dilemma. I was just kind of like ranting and raving about, not raving, but ranting about just how weird things are. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Hi, Nathan Oakley. Wave back to you. 1980. Ah, cool. Close to my age. Yeah, I think when you say a lot of people, it's at most 10 people out of thousands. We focus only on negative. Yes, hey, totally agree. Totally, that's another bias I have, right? Because I see every comment that comes through, and well, I mean, for me, it's like right now it's about 50-50. It's mostly negative comments right now, because the video has kind of gone through its churn. So most people that are subscribers and fans have seen it and they liked it. It's got like 99% thumbs up. But then now I'm just getting all the stragglers who discover it randomly and just leave random comments. So it is absolutely a bias. And it's a bias I am 100% guilty of. And it makes my life worse. My bias is making me feel worse about the topic. It's also driving me to want to create another video about the topic because I want to answer some of these questions. But yeah, it is a total bias. I am totally guilty. Like, that's the thing I want to, I wish I could drive home everywhere. Like I hate it when somebody says, well, the other side does this and it's just wrong. And the other side does that. And it's just absolute. No, you're all guilty. You're all guilty. If you want to put it Christians, we're all sinners in the eyes of God. We're all guilty of biases, and I am super guilty. Oh, there we go. Nathan asked a question. Can I ask my question? What distance would you use for an indoor boom? Closer than 40 centimeters, if possible. 40 centimeters. That is like about that big or so. You can use I can give you exact. What's your budget? If you're indoors, you don't necessarily need to use a shotgun microphone like this one. Although a shotgun will be fine. This is an NT. What is it? 2. Rode microphone. I mean, that's not bad. The thing with shotguns indoors is sometimes the echo or the reverb of the indoors can play kind of funky with a shotgun microphone. So you're kind of better off with just a regular condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone. I have some NT55s lying around that I use for miking up. I do musical recording with that. But a shotgun mic will be fine. Again, you're talking to someone who's not, I would say I do professional audio, but I don't do it on a level that that's all I do. So I couldn't tell you exactly which one model yet. But 40 centimeters indoor boom, you got a lot of options, I think. A lot of options. Maybe somebody in the comments can throw in a suggestion. Oh, you have an NTG3 and the room is treated. I want it off camera, but can it get close? Yeah, of course. Yeah, the NTG. It's also, if the room is treated, then the boom mic will be fine. Because the boom mic, the way the boom mic works. So this is NT2. NT3 is basically the same thing. It's just I think it's got something internally, something internal that this doesn't have. I forget what it is. But anyhow, basically it's a little condenser right up here and a long tube. And the idea with it is as this tube creates basically interference pattern with the sound coming from the sides. So it comes in and kind of blocks it. It just kind of cancels itself out. And so you're kind of trying to limit the sound just from the front of it. So it doesn't really matter how far away. It won't reduce your performance by getting it close. It's perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the reason why if you're in a reverby room, some of the reverbs can kind of mess with the way the interference works with the microphone. Yeah, it's kind of this is like a 30,000 foot overview explanation. I did talk about it in my microphone video, and the folks at Rode said it was fine. They didn't correct me. So it is what it is. Anyhow. Yep. Liquid Moco Films, I just would go back to the topic here. Problem is you can interpret any test any way. Bias will always play a huge part in study results. 100% agree. That's the problem. That's the problem we have these days. I'm getting all soapboxy. That's the problem. That's the problem. Anyhow, that's my new toy is the audiophiles yelling at me. Oh, you didn't do it perfect. You didn't make that square wave right. Oh, you're not doing it perfectly. You shouldn't be talking about topics you don't know anything about. Like, okay. So another point I wanted to make. So there's this weird thing about, I think people are excessively, okay. I'll hit this point and I'll go back to another point on my video. People are weirdly proud of being able to hear high frequencies. That's one thing I've discovered. It's like a lot of people are like, well, my hearing is excellent. I can hear up to 21 kilohertz. It's like, okay, great. So you can hear a dog whistle. So you can hear, like, why, like, is my life made better by the fact that I can't hear, or I can hear above 20 kilohertz, or I can hear above 16 kilohertz? Is your life better? So I had one guy who was doing a test, and he said, well, I tried to see if my video could hear, if I could hear that 21 kilohertz tone I generated in my video, if I could hear that. So I turned my speaker all the way up, and really loud, so I could just make sure I could hear it. And I played it, and it sounded like needles in my ear hole. And I thought, wow, what a great slogan for high sample rate audio. It's like needles in my ear hole. So what advantage does being able to hear high frequencies really give you? None. I've had people say, like, I'm a trained musician. Well, guess what, hotshot? So am I. I've been playing music for 30 years. Maybe why I can't hear that well. Maybe being around loud instruments is the reason why I can't hear super high frequencies. But I don't miss it. I mean, I don't have tinnitus. I don't hear buzzing or ringing in my ears. Thank God, I've been safe in that regards. But I'm a musician. I have a exceptionally. Exceptional is a bad way to say it. I have an annoying habit of picking out stuff that's out of tune. Like, I don't necessarily know if it's sharp or flat, but I know it's something. And I can be vocal about it if I'm next to, say, a horn player. And horn player had like a shouting, not a shouting match, but I was like, we're playing this song, we're playing this show, and it got to the end as a rehearsal. I was like, it's a little sharp on that whole ending part. He's like, what's your problem, man? It's a musical. I'm like, you're sharp. It sounded nasty. It just sounded So, but my upper range hearing does not need to be there for it. Yeah, Nathan. No, Nathan. What he was talking. I did a demonstration of some sine waves. So it was just I think it was a 7 kilohertz sine wave and a 21 kilohertz sine wave. So the idea is you shouldn't be able to hear the 21 kilohertz sine wave. The needles in the ear, yeah, might be due to the fact that something was going on with his speaker. I don't know, but like, I don't miss it. My hearing stops. I think like yours, or you're saying like 14 kilohertz. That's it. That's it. Let's see. Web9 says, unless you need the recorded sound to be live, like for a concert, for an interview, you can always change the audio after in editing. It's harder to change people in a movie than actors. I think in voices, are you talking about? Oh, change voices I think that makes sense. Jashin says, I can't hear above past 15 kilohertz. It never occurred to me that it was that low. No problem. Exactly. What difference does it make? Like, I mean, you heard a 15 kilohertz tone, right? I mean, why would you need to hear anything higher than that? It's beyond a squeak at that point. Who cares? Oh, but I can. My hearing is impeccable. I'm one of those blessed with golden ears. Like, no, you don't have golden ears. You just have an annoyance. You can hear like electronics hum. Good for you. Anyhow. He was lying. My kids can only hear they're under 6. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the 21 kilohertz was doing something in the speakers or rattling something. I don't know. But he said it was needles. He had to turn it all the way up, and it sounded like needles. It's like, well, that's not a good thing. Don't do that. That sounds horrible. So yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's pointless. So one of the things I did on my test, on my last video, I did a test where I played what was it? A 5 kilohertz tone and a 5 kilohertz sine wave tone, and then I played a 5 kilohertz with a 15.6 kilohertz tone above it, simulating a square wave and saying, if you can hear this difference, then you can hear up to 16 kilohertz, right? And a lot of people said, I can definitely hear it. I can definitely hear it. So I did an A/B test. I showed A, I played one tone, B, I showed the other tone. What I didn't tell people was that I switched A and B halfway through the test. So halfway through the test, A became B and B became A. And so a lot of people were saying, well, it's definitely B. I can definitely hear the difference. It's B. I'm like, well, you didn't hear the difference because I switched them. And I fooled a lot of people. A lot of people thought it was an error. Like, no, it was purpose. A lot of people thought I did that in error, which also tells me that a lot of people don't understand biases. Because if you understand biases, you would know, oh yeah, he switched it on purpose because he wanted to throw you off. But a lot of people didn't notice that. I got a few people that did say that they could hear the difference and they heard that switcheroo. I'm like, okay, I believe you. You heard that 16 kilo or 15.6 kilohertz tone. But anyhow, I'm just rambling now. Okay. I'm just rambling, just talking, just like some of the little dirty tricks I've been playing on people. And then yesterday, man, I got this one comment who was like, "Oh, you can't do this. What you're doing on YouTube is dangerous, creating square waves." And I just had to ban his butt. I just hated it so much. Webinak says, I showed my 8-year-old son a CRT TV and he asked me why I had the noise when it was on. And I was like, what noise? Yep, I got old. I used to be able to hear a little tiny of that bit of that noise as well. Yeah, I've got rabbits at home. I hope they're not too bugged by the CRT TV, but it's in the other room, so they don't seem to be bothered by much except for the vacuum cleaner. They hate the vacuum cleaner. But as a kid, I remember I used to be able to hear it. It was like, oh, I could hear a little bit of it, but not anymore. No, not anymore. No, yeah. Doesn't bother me anymore. Thanks for Nathan saying this is Ramble is gold. Thank you. I hope so. It's probably incriminating, right? I'm going to get canceled for everything I'm saying right now because I'm so dangerous to society by having my opinions about the fact that we can't perceive anything. So a couple other things I was pointing out too about the audio illusions, things like the Yanni Laurel. Remember all that Yanni Laurel debacle that hit the internet? Everyone's saying, they're saying Yanni. No, they're saying Laurel. We can't even agree on that. Like, how the hell are we going to agree on anything if we can't agree on Yanni and Laurel? It's not because we're stupid. It's because our perceptions don't work. And if you all haven't seen the McGurk effect, the McGurk effect is absolutely stunning. I mean, it's amazing. The McGurk effect, if you don't know what that is I can show you a video of me saying ba, 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 and you will hear B-A, B-A, B-A. Now, if I use that same exact audio, ba, and instead I use a mouthing, ba, I can't do it. If you hear ba, but my lips are saying fa, and you're watching the video, you will hear fa instead of ba. That's crazy. Now, it changes based on the culture. Like if you have a society that's very tone-based language versus something that's more like, Western with the consonants and all that. So obviously culture affects it. But even if you're aware of the effect, it never goes away. The McGurk effect. You can close your eyes, you'll hear ba. You open your eyes, you hear fa. Crazy. But that's the reality of that's the reality. Our senses are so incredibly flawed. Incredibly flawed. And we rely on them all the time and we make decisions on them all the time. Yeah. Ethan Warner's Audio Myths Workshop, huh? That might be that might be his videos or something like that. But it's fascinating. I absolutely I'll look for it. Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, I love. See, maybe it's my bias. I love being shown that how easy it is to fool our senses and how easy it is to trick our minds. And I just love that. I don't know why. When I'm listening to it's like when I listen to a certain kind of when I listen to a certain type of engineer talk or a certain kind of presentation, I feel comfort in learning about, oh, wow, that's how that works. Even if I don't retain it, right? I get very annoyed when I watch a video of somebody being like, well, society doesn't know what they're talking about. The engineers who give us this crap, Yeah, we gotta live with this 29.97 crap, frame rate crap. It's 2021 crap. Why are we doing this crap? I think I just see an idiot. I'm sorry. I see a complete moron. I just do. I'd rather like, oh, listen to an engineer talk. Well, the reason we have 29.97 is because of this color, because of the they had to mismatch in this thing, and so they figured out a way to do it this way, and we still have it. That's the way it is. I feel more comfortable about that. I don't know. Maybe it's my worldview. I mean, I think I'm pretty smart, but I also don't hold the view that everyone I don't know is an idiot. Now, you can do something, a video, and prove that you're an idiot, like saying crap all the time. But I don't, on the whole, believe that every person in this world is stupid and an idiot. Although this video I might be contradicting myself because I just talked about how everyone doesn't understand their biases. But I assume everyone is trying to do their best. And so, I don't believe that, like, oh, Hollywood is holding us back because they're using low frame rate. I don't know. Although I've got to wonder, though, about the whole situation with these video cards. So what is going on here? I got to imagine somebody somewhere is like, yeah, there's a big shortage of video cards. Maybe we should up the production a little bit. Anyhow, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just rambling. We're just rambling on this October day. There we go. Like playing records backwards, meaningless until you add subtitles. Then you hear what you read. Ah, very good point. All right, you ever do that game too, where like they put the wrong subtitles on the video? Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's the reason I enjoy your video on copyright more so than the certain animated stick figure. I hated that stick figure guy's video. I know what you're talking about. I'll say it. It's CGP Cray. He is absolutely so wrong in that video. It is so awful. Like his argument was that if Star Wars had copyright lapsed on Star Wars, then we would have so much more Star Wars. Well, guess what? Disney showed that we don't want so much more Star Wars. History has proven we don't want more Star Wars. No, we don't really want more Star Wars. Yeah, like honestly, every single video, like every popular take I've seen on copyright is all been so wrong. There's the thing called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. And the Gell-Mann amnesia effect means like somebody, let's say you have a PhD in like virology. Let's just go with a popular topic. And you're reading this article in a newspaper about COVID and like, man, these guys are idiots. They're completely misreporting. Like I was in the story and I interviewed this, I was interviewed by this journalist and he's completely misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's totally wrong. And then they turn the paper, oh, what's going on in Syria? Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, geez. Like you immediately forget how bad journalism is. If it's a topic you know about and you watch it, and you're like, oh, wow, this is awful. They're completely wrong. And then you turn the page and, oh, so you forget the fact that the journalism just is crap. They don't have any clue what they're talking about. So every popular thing on copyright I've seen has been completely wrong. It goes to CGP Grey. It goes for Adam Ruins Everything. His little thing on copyright, horrible, just terrible. I haven't watched that one British guy's thing on it, but I forget his name. I don't know. I feel like he tends to become a little preachy on his stuff. I watched this thing on he did this thing about copyright and the Hollywood sign. The Hollywood, sign. Did you know that the Hollywood sign is actually trademark protected? It's actually owned by the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce, I believe. They own that and the Hollywood Walk of Fame stars, right? Now, they will go after you if you use the Hollywood sign in a form of advertising. But if you happen to shoot a sign in like your movies or in a movie, a TV show, maybe a little more gray area. It becomes more gray area. But if you like made a movie and you just showed the Hollywood sign, They really can't go after you because you're not using it as a trademark. But if you're using it as your, as your store's branding, like Hollywood Video, I'm sure they had to get a license for that or pay some sort of royalty for it. But he did a video on that topic and completely like misinterpreted the topic. So I literally emailed the Hollywood, or is it the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce? Maybe the Beverly Hills or Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. I emailed the lady. I'm like, hey, did you see this video? What are your thoughts on it? And they said, yeah, we appreciate the video, but it's not quite right. And she was more complimentary of the video than I would be. I'd be like, this is just garbage. This is wrong. Anyhow. Is the Hollywood sign for sale? Really? I didn't know that. I'm not sure it is. Let's go back to some of your older comments here. Yeah, and most people are in fact idiots, sad but true. I would take it more. I mean, it's more of those. I think it's more of a the individual may be smart, but the collective is an idiot kind of a thing too. Because I don't look at the world as like everyone's just failures. I think everybody's trying to do their best. Maybe they're not all great. Maybe they're. I won't push too hard on that comment though. You're on the right track, I guess. Before audio movies, the old black and white movies, you could see how much effort they put into lighting when they were filming. Well, they still put in a lot of effort into lighting. Yeah, the lighting's still a big deal. Hey, Helium Road, how you doing? I didn't say hi to you. There you go. We want more Star Wars, just not the kind of Star Wars we got. That's the thing. Like, the argument would be like, well, I think the argument more is like, how quickly can you dilute Star Wars if everybody could make a Star Wars movie? Like, how excited do you get about the next Dracula movie? Do you really care? It's Dracula. Everybody's made a Dracula movie. I mean, it's not that it's a genre, but essentially, like how many times can you tell the story of Van Helsing? I mean, you can do it 10 different ways, but it never generates that much interest. Value in popular culture is only valuable if it's scarce. And if you don't make it scarce artificially through copyright, then anybody can do it. Then you can have, Star Wars. You can have Warner Brothers Star Wars with a Batman versus Han Solo. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. But you could have a Warner Brothers Star Wars. You could have a Paramount Star Wars. You could have a Disney Star Wars. Can you imagine that? Like, could you imagine if everybody got so pissed off that Luke Skywalker was able to turn dark? Now, personally, I liked The Last Jedi. My friend Joe would give me shit for it right now if you heard me say that, but I liked The Last Jedi because I like where they took the ideas. I hated the last movie because they completely just gave up on the ideas. But I like The Last Jedi. People are saying, well, that's not my Luke. Luke Skywalker would never do that. Well, if Star Wars had no copyright protection, then why not Luke becomes a trans woman and goes around converting, becoming Yoda becomes gender fluid, and that happens. Is that okay? I mean, well, according to, if fans had a problem with Luke Skywalker, like about to kill Kylo Ren there, why would they be okay with that kind of angle? But it'd be completely legit. So there would be nothing to protect that. Nothing to keep that from happening. Or Luke Skywalker becoming a full-blown Nazi. He just starts spouting like anti-Semite comments in the galaxy far away. He's like, oh, somewhere in a galaxy there's a group of people that control the media. Like, Luke? Really? Is that you? Is that Skywalker? Is that really Luke Skywalker talking? Like, but it'd be fair game. Totally fair game. There'd be no accountability if there's no copyright. That's the thing. That's the argument. That's such a sad argument with that video. Anyhow, going back to more comments. Let's see. Go back to the top. Yeah, Helium Rose says Disney and Marvel are doing a pretty good job diluting their stuff now. I can't keep up all the superhero films. Yeah, I kind of lost track of the TV shows. Like I watched the first episode of Loki and I just didn't get it. And every time I saw Owen Wilson on screen, I had this reaction. It was like this. Every time I saw him, I kept saying, "Oh wow!" Every time. Tell me you don't have that same reaction. Like Loki jumps out of the airplane with the money because Loki was the guy that jumped out of the airplane, hijacked the airplane, stole the money, and jumped off. Oh wow, that was you, Loki. Wow, I had to every time. Owen Wilson, sorry, he's ruined it for me. Ruined it. The audience will choose. There you go. The audience will choose with their money if a trans Luke or a Nazi Han or a black Batman are worth it. I agree with that. The audience will decide. But then you're going to have a million. You're going to have a million of them. Why not? No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying like that's why you want at least some protection, copyright protection. If you don't, I feel like the internet is like got a serious hard on for public domain stuff. And yeah, public domain is awesome. We should share it. We should definitely have public domain. Copyright should not be in totality forever and ever. No way. I agree 100% with that. However, public domain stuff is what they force you to read in school. You don't get excited about, public domain stuff. It doesn't drive your excitement, right? Do you like go around driving through, the high school's doing William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I think I want to see that. I've been dying to catch a Romeo and Juliet, but I've been driving around the country looking for a high school doing it and finally found one. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to watch the Romeo. No, you don't do that. You mean you might go to the Met and see like, you go to the Amundsen Theater and it's that dude. I can't think of a name. Let's pick a name out of my hat. Not Norm Macdonald. Damn it, he's died. It's Norm Macdonald doing Shakespeare. Yeah. That'd be great. All right, pick another name. Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen not Othello. In Tempest. Something like that. Okay, but you want to see Ian McKellen doing The Tempest. That's why you see it. Not because of The Tempest. Although, that's great. But you want to see Ian McKellen perform it. That's the point. James Ashwood said, the point is, though, once it's out of the hands of the original creator, it might as well be in the hands of the public instead of some private company. Why? Why? I don't understand that argument, though. So here, and then the flip side, too, is once it's in the public, look, you have no right. Like, if you create Spider-Man and it's out in the public and people make Spider-Man fan art, that's reality. That's fine. And it should be encouraged, right? They shouldn't be like cracking down on fan art, right? The issue is who can profit from it, right? If you make Spider-Man and you own the copyright to Spider-Man, you should be the one be able to produce the profit on the big movies. You can sell fan art, a little bit here and there. That's fine. That should be encouraged because it increases the fan base of the property. So smart people in regards to copyright won't try to reduce that, But anyhow. Derek says Mickey Mouse falls that's not true. Mickey Mouse does not fall in the public domain because Mickey Mouse is a trademark. Steamboat Willie falls into the public domain. And basically you can just watch Steamboat Willie or whatever cartoon becomes public domain. The actual character, because it's basically Walt Disney's built an entire empire around that image, around that character. And even if you think about it, like the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is not the same Mickey Mouse it's walking around Disneyland right now. For one, Steamboat Willie didn't have gloves. One of those things. There's a huge amount of differences between Steamboat Willie, Mickey, and the official mascot of Disney. So, but the argument would be like, no, you can't necessarily just like, if you're a daycare, you can't just like, it's the Mickey Mouse daycare, now that's 2020. No, it doesn't work that way because Disney, it's a trademark. It represents a Disney corporation. So in trademarks will last in perpetuity. As long as they use it and protect it, then they last forever. But the film itself, public domain. And the argument too, like, well, it's going to be public domain. Yay. You can go on YouTube right now. After we're done here, go on YouTube, look up Steamboat Willie, and you can watch it for free. And you know who's putting it out for free? Walt Disney. So it's like, what's the argument? I don't get the argument. You're not hiding it from anybody. People can watch it. Helium Road says Disney will just remake Steamboat Willie, maybe. Well, yeah, you can remake it, but the remake would be copyright protected, not the original. Derek says, and in short, anything that still generates a lot of revenue will never fall in the public domain. Is that true? I don't think it's true, because I think more about the fact that, and that's all. I'll agree with you in a roundabout way, because now we're getting to my other topic, copyright, which is my dear topic, another topic I find dear, and people don't really understand either. I think the purpose of the public domain is kind of the definition of the public domain is kind of the point where it is no longer financially viable. I think that's fair. Like you should be able to profit off of something for a long time. And then after a certain point, well, as long time's passed, it's kind of part of the culture now. You don't get the profit from it anymore, and that's the way it is. Now, how can you, or is something that's still generating a lot of revenue? Let's see. Today's 2020, so it'll be 1930s. Are you still going out there watching a lot of movies from the 1930s? Is that like a hugely profitable thing? I don't think so. Do you think in the year 20, I would say, what is it, 20, let's just say 90 years copyright for this argument. I think it's going to be 90, or maybe it's 120 for by the year 2100, do you think Star Wars will be as popular as it is now? I don't think it will be. I think it'll be viewed as old stuff, especially the original films. So, anyhow. Pran says, all my videos copyrighted. Everything I make is copyrighted. Just by the, that's what I love about copyright. It is copyrighted by the sheer fact that I made it. It is copyrighted. Boom. I made it. And I think everybody like in kindergarten would understand that. Like, hey, did you do that drawing, Billy? Oh yeah, I made this. No, Billy, Susie made that. So that's copyright. I made it. I made it. It belongs to me. It is the essence of my human rights. This is recognized by the United Nations. Is my human right something I made? Is something I owned. That's it. Now, is it registered? No, I don't register my for copyright. It's a waste of money. And do I care if you guys watch it? I mean, obviously YouTube has to copy the video for you to watch it. So I granted YouTube some permissions to make copies of the work. If you wanted to copy it and show it to your class, I'm absolutely fine with that too. And in my videos, you're more than welcome to show it in your class. As long as, if you want to quote some of my video and and make an argument like John's an idiot, he shouldn't be he's talking out of his butt, that's fair too. I recognize fair use. I'm extremely pro fair use, 100%, because that's part of what I do is fair use. So I'm an extremely avid supporter of fair use. I'm also an avid supporter of copyright. I believe in order to have strong copyright, you need strong fair use. You can't have weak fair use, otherwise it's copyright abuse. So that's where I stand on that. Yes, The Thin Man is a kick-ass film, but how much money did you pay for The Thin Man? Like, can you get it at, like, if you could find it in a Walmart bargain bin, would you think that would be, or are people paying like $100 to see it? I don't think they are. Derek says, Star Wars and Marvel will still be popular 90 years from now in the sense that Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind are popular today. Okay, that's a good point. But how much money do you pay to see Wizard of Oz? How many young people are in a Gone with the Wind screening? I mean, not very many. I mean, it's kind of like as popular as Bach is today. Bach is still hugely popular. Hey, they play, every symphony plays Beethoven. They all play the same. It's like 10 pieces, 10 composers. Bach, Liszt, Schubert, some Handel. Maybe once in a while we'll do Handel Messiah, but no one come on, Handel Messiah. Hey, who pays money to see Handel's Messiah? I mean, some people do. I used to play that once in a while. I don't think I want to play that. If I never played Handel's Messiah again in my life, I wouldn't miss it. I would not miss it at all. Even after this pandemic, I'm like, nope, don't miss playing Hand of Messiah. For everybody shall be exalted. It's like, God, just be over. Just get to the trumpet part. Dun, da, da. Anyhow. I recently listened to the 1938 version of War of the Worlds, and it still hits pretty well. I'm not saying it doesn't hit well. I'm saying financially, does it matter? Is it still generating a lot of money? What is? I mean, Star Wars, you could say, is generating a lot of money and it is about what, 70, well, let's say 80, just for easy math. It is 40 years old, but that's only 40 years. Add another 50 years to see how well it does. I don't know, maybe. Or maybe 50 years from now, people just look at it as like Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz. It's just classic movie, still great, still works out. Well, Gone with the Wind, you need to have a little, warning. And, you got to warn people. You might get triggered by this movie. Be careful, guys. This generation doesn't understand context. Nope. Need a warning. I wonder if does Disney put like warnings now for all the tobacco use in the old movies? Like, warning, the following movie contains use of tobacco, which may be upsetting to younger viewers. Oh God, sorry. Yeah. Ratsoul says more prickly intellectual props. All right, yeah. Yeah, the audio CD. All right, Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace will live on like Dante. I don't know what. Oh, Dante. I don't know. Circle of Hell. Netflix puts up some old movies from 1928. Cool. Netflix knows where the money is at. So I'm a real rant. I got an ad for a Netflix movie. They wanted me to watch The Maid, and I was like, The Maid. Okay. So I looked at the little description. It's like this woman who suffers through horrible, like, domestic abuse must survive the torment of life and so forth. And I'm like, why do I want to watch this? I really don't want to watch this. It looks depressing as hell. I don't know. I'm at a weird point in my life. Like, my life is not easy. I deal with my mom's who's having health issues. I deal with work, try to do all this stuff, juggle everything. Right now, financially, I'm doing well. It's good. But I don't have that much time, and I'll sit down and I'll go home. I'll sit on the couch and relax, and maybe have a little gummy from that special store I went to, and let's watch a woman who's been brutally beaten by her domestic partner, who doesn't appreciate her, and a kid, and the horribleness of life. Yeah, that sounds exactly like what I want to watch. Exactly like what I want to watch. Jeez, man. I'm sorry. It feels like it's been happening for a long time. Like, even with the Oscars. I mean, obviously the Oscars have been getting worse and worse and worse every year. But it's like, I don't want to watch any of this stuff. It's too depressing. It's too bleak. And there's no promise of anything good. The last big movie that won, well, I mean, Lord of the Rings was pretty popular. But at least those are uplifting movies. They're, it's adventure. It's, they're fun. But, geez, The Maid? Oh, my Lord. That's just, oh, thank God. Pran says, I admire your work and always wondered why this guy is giving out such quality content for free. I've wondered that too. Why am I doing this? I'm doing it for the comments. And YouTube gives me a little bit of money. Well, though this month, I kind of made this point. This month, I made more money than I make on YouTube in about a year and a half. So, you can't blame me for taking some time to do that stuff. Anyhow. Healing Road says, I spent my money on 2 versions of Metropolis. Cool. Including a theater ticket and a screening around 2009. Yes, but you're kind of proving the point. The question is, how financially viable are they? And the answer is not that much. At least, I mean, is beyond a commodity. Like, how much? Well, I'll let that go. Like, how much would you be willing to pay for your copy of Shakespeare's anthology? You pay something, right? You pay more for a Shakespeare folio, not an original one, but Shakespeare anthology, than you would for, say, the equivalent amount of paper. So there's obviously still value to be gained, but there isn't as much value as, say, the latest Britney Spears album. I don't know, whatever. Britney Spears just came to my brain for some reason. There you go. Argument can be made that the failure of John Carter not landing induced the purchase of Marvel and Lucasfilm. The Princess of Mars is a great read over at Gutenberg for comparison with the adaptation. Ah, interesting. I've never got into John Carter, but I do know that there was quite a bit of a disaster at Disney. But goes to show you that you can have a disaster and then turn things around at Disney. Thing says, I saw that Green Lanterns on Netflix. I'll think I'll watch that. Ryan Reynolds sends his thank you or disappointment. I don't know. I saw that Free Guy movie. That was a lot of fun. Free Guy. A lot of fun. There you go. Sheen says, value add, I would pay for a nice leather-bound volume. There you go. You would pay more for a leather-bounded Shakespeare anthology than you would for, say, the same amount of paper and raw leather. It all adds up. I think what we're arguing too is like public domain. There's always value in public domain, right? There's always value in some public domain. It just doesn't have that. It doesn't have the value that it once did, and that's so to say that, well, nothing that makes money goes in the public. Well, yeah, things go in the public domain. I don't know. It's one of those things where it sounds smarter than it really is. No offense to the guy that wrote that. It's not as accurate. Shakespeare has no estate with shark lawyers to fight for his stuff the way that, say, Tolkien does. Well, Shakespeare is also dead, and long dead, like hundreds of years dead. And Tolkien's not that, more recent dead. So, like, the reason why people don't know this when they talk about copyright after death is that it was originally derived for the idea 2 generations. The idea that once you die, your ancestors have 2 generations to enjoy your copyright because, and I think this makes sense, most people will know their grandparents. Like most people will know who their grandparents, and they may have met their grandparents. That's 1 generation, 2 generations. So the idea is like for an artist who creates something, then to say is killed in a car accident immediately, they can at least enjoy the profit making ability of that work for 2 generations. So when they extended from 50 years to 75 years, they were saying, well, these days the generation is really more like 30 years, 35 years, not really 20 years, 25 years. So that was the argument for the extension. It wasn't because they were trying to make Mickey Mouse live longer. In fact, the push for the copyright extension was not really Mickey Mouse. It was Sonny Bono. It was the recording industry that was pushing harder on that, not Disney. Although Disney was part of the lobbying effort, it was really the recording industry that was kind of going after it. Yama Popey says, "How does 70-year protection after authors?" I just literally explained that. So, but you probably asked it before I explained it. That's the explanation. Like, say, just pick a recording artist. Let's say John Denver, because I love John Denver, and he makes an album and he dies in a plane crash. All right. Well, all of a sudden, hey, he's dead. Let's all take his money. Let's do a celebratory funeral concert, and we're not going to pay the estate owners anything. He's dead. He doesn't have a copyright anymore. That doesn't make sense. Literally, like, you need some period after death, or otherwise you get really sneaky. Like, oh, if I could get the Harry Potter copyright, I could just go and somehow off J.K. Rowling, and then I get her copyright. No, it doesn't work that way. So you have to have some grace period after death. period. The question is how long, and that's where the 2 generations come from. That's the argument. Now you might argue that, well, that's too long. It's a fair argument to argue that it's not too long. My thing is, though, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter that much. But anyhow, Francis, how do you select assistant or co-directors in Hollywood? It's basically who you know. They never ever do a casting call. It's like, oh, let's look up people who are directors. It's all literally who you know. And it'll be agents talking to agents and directors, co-directors. I mean, that's kind of a weird title, but anyhow. If Disney had existed in Shakespeare's day, they'd own all his work and still be making money on it today. Actually, there's a funny loop in copyright law regarding the King James Bible. And that was the work of the Crown. And I believe the Crown owns in the copyright of the King James Bible in perpetuity. So believe it or not, it's not Disney you gotta be afraid of. It's the Royal Crown. You thought she was all cute there with her little wave. Oh, hello, hello. No, she's the queen is the devil. I believe, but I think it's the King James Bible has this weird copyright quirk that it is still under copyright protection, even though it was written in Shakespeare's time. So. Shakespeare's World, Taming of the Shrew. Take that! Was he slapping? I'm just using Kiss Me Kate as my reference. Oh boy, yeah, you would Taming of the Shrew done in a woke fashion. You would never get away with that. Oh my boy, oh my word, you would never survive. Not today's society. Could you imagine like the 2021 presents Taming of the Shrew? I mean, we've completely lost our minds. Never mind. Yeah, Shakespeare's theme park would be interesting. It's like, okay, we close down every night for the Black Plague. Wear your masks, folks. Oh, anyhow. Brandon says, where do you get all this information? You read a lot. If so, just a few books. There are no books. Part of what I know is from experience. Part of what I know is from talking to people. Part of what I know is from just looking at the way things work and just kind of gathering information from people. There are books on certain topics like sound and video and all that. They're all of individual uses. I mean, they vary. Wikipedia is helpful, but then you do have to kind of take a train look at it, like I was saying earlier, like do your own research. It's not a good advice because most people don't know how to research. It sucks. So it's hard and it's time consuming, and I really do need to spend more time just making movies, just doing what I want to do. And this pandemic has kind of ruined me in that I stopped making movies other than doing a lot of video work, a lot of like communication stuff. It's still going to be tricky trying to make movies, although I think we're starting to get out of that funk. And I stopped playing music for a year and a half. And now I'm doing Matilda, which I'm looking forward to. And I need to practice a little bit. Wear your masks. It's a little too close to home, dude. Yeah, no kidding. Put on your masks. We're going to Black Plague Town. It's a scurvy world after all. Anyhow. Derek says, I believe in Japan, they consider everything before 1950 as public domain. That sounds like one of those things where it's an old wives' tale. I doubt it's true, because Japan is a signatory. I'm guaranteed, but Japan is a signatory of the WIPO Berne Convention. Berne Convention basically states that if you are part of the Berne Convention, then you all have to agree to a certain set of rules regarding copyright. And I'm pretty sure anything before 1950 is a public domain, that probably wouldn't fly. Although, it's getting close. It's been 70 years, so it might be there. The weird thing right now is the way the copyright law works with music. And I have to agree that there's some weird things going on with music that we have to kind of sort out yet, or basically wait till stuff gets sorted. But right now, like literally, there are literally no recordings that are considered copyright free, and it's a weird thing with the laws with mechanical recording and all that stuff. And it's not as simple as, oh, let's just make everything copyright free. No, it doesn't work that way. Like it's a mixture of like local laws and state laws, and I don't quite understand it all. There have been some movements to try to like clean some of it up, and I know I think there's a couple laws bills that were being worked on. I don't know if there still are, but yeah. So that's still a weird situation. Like early recordings are still a weird place, and it's not like people are making money off of it. It's just in a bizarre, weird place. Historic stocks are sold to, or can it be used for free in a movie? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Are you talking about stock footage? Stock footage is also a bizarre realm because, like, yeah, there's some stuff that is definitely public domain, but in order to get a high quality version, you have to buy it through a service. It's like, well, I'm paying for public domain footage. So yeah, it's a gray area. Like I don't want to lead you astray on a casual live stream. I don't want to say, oh, you can go out and use that footage. Maybe you can't. Depends on what's going on with the particular property. Good point. It seems with the advent of recorded music, people sing less for personal pleasure. Yeah, you're right. Like, and well, you know, I'm going to be the wrong person to talk about because like I perform in a lot of amateur groups that we are all people with day jobs that we all like to play music together, and there's some singers, there's some choirs I do with, but I think what's that? Adam Neely was talking about how his mother is a vocal teacher, and the way that music has been so auto-tuned, so we hear everything so pitch perfect these days that it changes the way we perceive our ability to sing, and it may also alter what our expectations are for a vocal performance. So you can have a really like gnarly vocal performance, like say a Bob Dylan album. He's not anywhere near the pitch, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone must be at high. It doesn't matter. So we've lost that because everything's so auto-tuned and so perfect and so everything. Oh yeah, Rick Beato. I like Rick Beato. Music copyright is a mess. It is. Yeah, it is a hot mess. But the solutions are not going to be simple. That's the problem. I think the solutions are not going to be like, throw it all out. No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, Rick Beato's interesting. He's definitely worth I do watch his stuff a lot. As a musician, right? Certain people we hang around with. It's funny watching TV. Darren Lefkin says, watching TV shows and commercials with stickers covering up the Apple logos on laptops like they didn't get permission. As a joke, sometimes I would put up I did a movie where I put like a fake Apple logo, like I just literally taped it on there. It looked so horrible because I was like, it's a joke. I don't know. I do certain jokes I think only I get. We did this live stream where we did on this channel where we did called Pawn Star, or not Pawn Stars. There was a Pawn Stars spoof. We called it Film Stars, and we were selling like old merchandise, paraphernalia, props, and all that. And I kept making jokes to like Subway. Like this, like, oh, I could go for some Subway sandwiches right now. Oh, what's that you have there? A 12-inch Subway circuit? Because Pawn Stars had this egregious like product placement with Subway. It was ridiculously over the top. Like they were constantly pushing Subway on this thing. So I was making fun of it. But I think people actually took it that we were sponsored by Subway. So I may have gone afoul with that. Luckily, Subway did not give me problems with it because I wasn't like saying Subway was bad. I kind of like Subway once in a while, but anyhow. Lateronics, Alan Latterman. One of my educational videos on analog circuits for music synthesis got blocked and then mysteriously unblocked and mysteriously reblocked for 20 seconds on Immersion Lake and of Immersion Lake and Palmer's Lucky Man. Yeah, that's gonna do it to you. Auto-tune Johnny Cash. Let's see how that goes. Yep, I love Johnny. I love me some Johnny. I was just watching some of that Hurt video the other day. That's awesome. Heathen Rose says, I have a friend who sings in a church choir just for the fun of it. She's not even religious. And that's, you know, I used to do a lot of church gigs, and I'm not super religious. I appreciate Christianity. I have respect for the religion, but I can't find myself completely into it. I'm sorry. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the philosophy. But yeah, I used to do a lot of church gigs, but they stopped kind of using live music, and like, well, all right, whatever. Now it's all just like worship teams and praise him. And it's like, it's the same. It's like modern church music. It'd be funny, you know, in like 500 years time, people will look at modern day worship music like they'd look at Bach. Can you imagine that? It's like, and so one of the famous ones? I don't remember. Holy, holy. Anyway, hey Mindo, how you doing? I'm not trying to diss on Christian music. Just saying. All right. Well, it's about 2:30. I've been on for an hour and a half. All right. Well, guys, I should probably get going and go get some lunch and hopefully enjoy the rest of my day. Because I'm going to gone through a lot. I'm going to be good. Hey, Nay Doler. I haven't seen you in a while. My mom is, it's so-so with her. Her ability to walk kind of fell off a cliff. So, and literally it's really difficult. I since have made her a bed downstairs. She used to have a room upstairs. I took over the master bedroom. She has my old room when I was a kid, and now she lives downstairs and living in the family room. So I got a hospital bed, and now she stays down there because she really can't walk anymore. So I deal with that, and it's just you know, it's day to day. Otherwise, her health is great. Like literally, she's really healthy, except for, you know, the dementia and the ability to walk. So that's kind of that's my evenings. And but I do have a caretaker come in every weekday, and at least let me do other stuff and come over here and do stuff over here. So that is all I'm talking about. Yeah, Bach wrote everything for church. Jesus, joy of man's desiring. What do you think that was about? It wasn't about a dude named Jesus. All right. Dang it! I'm keep more comments. Derek says, noticing cable blurred out logos and billboards. Movie production got permission to use that stuff, but not cable network. I don't get it. You can watch my video on trademarks. I'll kind of explain it as far as why they had to blur stuff out. Movies don't have to so much. TV shows more likely to. Anyhow, that is it. I'm going to go get some lunch. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Friday. I'm going to help my friend out. His school got a 3D printer, and 3D printing is a big hobby of mine. So I'm going to go over there and try to figure out how their 3D printer works. That'll be kind of fun. I will enjoy that. And then I will see you guys next week. We'll get together next week. All right, I promise you. All right, I'll talk to you later.